Hey everybody, it's Alex from Alex and Erika's channel, and we're going to be talking about Puerto Vallarta today. In general, we love to cruise. We cruise as often as we can, and I love to see other people go on their cruise for the first time. I love jumping in some of these Facebook groups, trying to offer some advice, share some tips and wisdom to make that experience that much better, especially if it's your first cruise. And as we all know, traveling is not cheap these days, and I really want to see people get the most out of their travel dollars. So be sure to watch this entire video because I'm going to talk about the things that we typically do in Puerto Vallarta, as well as some of the other things we've done. Puerto Vallarta is one of our favorite places to visit. It's where I met Erika originally like 20 plus years ago. We go there once or twice a year, and it's just a fantastic and beautiful city to visit. So if you haven't been here before, I'm Alex, and I've been on about 38 cruises now. I've been cruising since I was 2 years old. Cruising is a big part of our family and what we love to do. The nice thing about arriving in Puerto Vallarta, especially on a cruise ship, is you're typically going to have 10 to 12 hours in port, which is nice. It gives you enough time to get off the boat and really explore and take advantage of all that Puerto Vallarta has to offer. If you're visiting Puerto Vallarta on a cruise ship, it's part of a 7-day Mexican Riviera cruise. It's usually the first port or the last port of your cruise vacation. Puerto Vallarta is a nice pier in the fact that you'll be able to pull right up on the cruise ship and walk right off the ship. In Puerto Vallarta, there is a north pier as well as a south pier. Most of the time you're going to be arriving on the south side, which is nice because you have the main terminal there. But if you do arrive and dock on the north side, the benefit there too is you have fairly easy access right back out to the street. So one of the first things you'll notice when you arrive is directly across the street there's a Walmart. That comes up a lot in conversation in various Facebook groups. Walmart, it's a great spot if you forgot something that's important, because a lot of these cruise ships have limited options available as far as sunscreen or toothpaste. So walk across the street and get whatever you need there. It's literally right across the street and you can see it from the ship. The other thing too is if you do need some pesos, I always recommend getting a few pesos before you leave on your cruise, just to have them. I hear this a lot. People always say, well, you know, dollars are king. Everybody will take your dollars. And that's true. Everybody will take your money, especially if it's a US currency. But the reality is you're going to get if you go out to the street and you want to get a taxi, they're going to give you a lower exchange rate. For example, if the going rate is like 19.5, most taxis out there are going to give you 17 pesos to the dollar. And then if you need change, you're going to get that back in pesos and you're going to get it back at a lower exchange rate. I know that if you're inside the pier, they will have predetermined cabs and taxi fares for you to go throughout the city in different spots. But keep in mind, those are more expensive to begin with. So for example, when we went to Puerto Vallarta last time, they wanted $20 to basically take a taxi down to the Malecón. We walked outside and we got a taxi, and it was like 140 pesos, which is like $7. So it's a lot cheaper to be able to do it that way. And Uber also works. Uber works in all the major tourism cities throughout Mexico. So if you have Uber, you have to walk out to the pier as well, because inside the pier, inside the terminal, they won't let Ubers in. But if you just walk a block outside to the street, you can grab an Uber and then go to whatever destination you want to go to. The other thing too to keep in mind is cruise lines are constantly talking about ship time, staying on ship time. If you're visiting Puerto Vallarta, most of the time you're leaving from Long Beach, where the time difference is typically 2 hours, and most of the cruise lines will just do a 1 hour time change, usually on the first or second sea day. So you're usually off by 1 hour when you arrive in Puerto Vallarta. I like to just use an old watch when we travel. The other thing you can do is just take your cell phone and take it off of, just use the manual clock, remove the feature that updates it automatically depending on the location you're at. There's nothing worse than trying to figure out ship time, local time, and then wondering, do I have an hour left or am I running out of time? The thought of you missing the cruise ship is something that is going to stress you out. So it's a lot easier just to focus on ship time and stick to ship time. All right, so what we typically do when we go to Puerto Vallarta, we have a daily routine, and we switch it up every so often. We switched it up on the last cruise, but what we like to do is we get off the ship and we typically go to a local seafood spot. And there's a local spot there called Ocho Tostadas, and it's really, really good. If you're looking for good, authentic Mexican seafood, mariscos, that's the place to go. Ocho Tostadas is great. There's 2 locations. There's one by the marina that's actually pretty close to the ship. You can walk there in about 15-20 minutes. But it's like a 3-4 minute Uber ride if you want to go down and check it out. So we usually go down to Ocho Tostadas. We have a few different dishes that we really enjoy, have a couple beers. We spend an hour or so down there, and then afterwards we usually head down to the beach. And there's a beach if you go south over called Los Muertos Beach, and it's a public beach. All the beaches are public in Mexico, but the thing we like about that particular beach is there's a lot of action, a lot of activity going on. There's various bars, basically beach bars, a couple beach clubs down in that area, and a lot of their policy is that you can basically get a chair and umbrella for $20, sometimes $30 in consumption, and it depends. And if you're on a budget and you just want to go down and hang out, you can just take your cruise towel, go down to that beach area. You're not obligated to buy anything. You can just hang out on the beach, enjoy the sand, enjoy the water. It's a fantastic spot to check out, and it's only about a 15-minute ride from the pier. So the second to last time we went to Puerto Vallarta, we went down to Los Muertos Beach, and we actually went to a beach club called Sapphire Beach Club, and it was an awesome spot. It was 300 pesos for entry per adult, which is about $15. You didn't get any food or beverage credit with that. That was basically just like an entry fee. But the thing we really liked about it was a really chill, mellow vibe. They had great facilities. The food was really good. The drinks were really good. The other thing that's nice too is that they do have a small pool, not a huge pool, but it's a nice pool with a beautiful view, and it's a fun spot to just relax and have a good time. The other spot too that we've noticed, and I've seen a lot of friends go there too, is there's another beach bar right next door actually, and it's called Blue Chairs, and there's always a lot happening over there. Personally, we haven't been there, but I've had a few friends that have gone over there. When we were there, you can always hear the party and the energy. So if you're looking for something that's a little bit more energetic, a little bit more of a kind of a beach club type feel, then definitely check out Blue Chairs, because that's a fun spot to go to also. So once we've spent a few hours, sometimes we'll hang out there all day and just relax at the beach. But what we typically do in the late afternoon is we'll start to pack up, and instead of taking a taxi back to the port, we'll start to walk basically down the Malecón. That is the boardwalk that runs parallel to the ocean front there in Puerto Vallarta. And it's just a beautiful walk. It's really, really peaceful. There's a ton of retirees that live down there from the States and Canada. It's a super safe spot to go, and it's just a beautiful walk in the afternoon to hang out. And if you're looking to have a good time, you can grab a few more drinks along the way. What we do often is we'll make our way back, we'll see some souvenirs, we'll stop to buy a few things along the way. Last time we just randomly ran into this cigar shop that was really a cool spot. Roger, who I believe his name was, he sold us a couple cigars. He actually sold a couple cigars to my buddy who was looking for some, and then he made us another drink. His drink prices were pretty reasonable, and we got a drink for the road for our walk as we continued down the Malecón, kind of making our way back down the boardwalk. And then once we walk back up over the bridge, we will walk down the boardwalk a little bit more. I'll show you a clip here of a little dive bar that we typically stop in, and it's called the Devil's Bar, and it's a super fun spot. This might be our last bar stop, right? And then we're heading back to the cruise ship. One more after this?
Yeah.
Maybe? What? I think he said we might go to the Circle Bar.
Not all of it.
No, I didn't say that. Never mind.
You did not say that.
This is the last stop for sure.
And a beer can would be like this in his hand. I love being the single guy. That's the best part.
So as you can see in that video, it was starting to get a little bit later, and it was time to head back to the ship. But The thing that was nice about this particular visit is that we were there from 9 in the morning till 9 p.m. and that was actually 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. local time. So this video was, we took this video around 8:30. So it was time to get back to the ship, but the sun had already set. And that bar was just a really cool spot to kind of end our day. So that's kind of like our go-to plan when we're not really sure what to do in Puerto Vallarta. And it's a great plan if you're looking to have some fun and not spend a whole lot of money. You can keep your day pretty inexpensive if you're just talking about taking a taxi or taking an Uber down to the beach and back and just walking around and hanging out and enjoying the beach. Or you can spend a little bit more money like we did and go have lunch, go to a bar, have a few cocktails. It's really whatever you want to make it. So the last time we were in Puerto Vallarta, we wanted to switch it up a little bit, and we ended up going on to resortpass.com, where you can reserve day passes at various hotels. That's not a sponsor or anything, it's just a popular website I've used a lot in the past. When we did a search for Puerto Vallarta, the two options for that day were the Westin and the Marriott. If you've seen our other videos, you've seen that we've stayed there at the Westin a few times, so we wanted to switch it up. We've always walked by the Marriott, and it's a beautiful hotel, so we wanted to go there and check it out. Unfortunately, through the Resort Pass, it was already sold out for the day, so I ended up calling the hotel directly, and they were able to take a reservation for us. It was actually a little bit cheaper. I think through the hotel directly, it was 750 pesos, of which about 350 pesos was available as food or alcohol credit for our day. So as you can see in this video, it's basically you just arrive at the hotel like you're a hotel guest. They're expecting you, they know your name. It was on the clipboard as we drove in. And then you walk through the lobby and you check in like you're checking in at a hotel. And for us, we had our wristbands. We were in the pool within about 15 minutes. And this was really just a great time to it was a great day to relax and really enjoy the facilities. The other thing too about a lot of these hotels in all the ports is that typically you're arriving in these ports like Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. So the hotels sometimes aren't that busy, which is nice. So the Marriott was our second option, something that's a little bit different, something that's going to require you to spend a little bit more money, but not that much actually. A lot of it just depends on how much you're going to drink and eat while you're there on the property. The other option, especially if this is your first time to Puerto Vallarta, is to do a excursion. And now you can do an excursion through the cruise line, or you can do them on your own. And whether or not you do it through the cruise line or on your own, that you basically have access to just about the same excursions at a better price. I'm pretty sure that the cruise line contracts with the company in Mexico. Actually, I'm almost certain that they use Vallarta Adventures for a lot of their excursions. And the four most popular excursions to do that I hear a lot of people do that we've personally all done is the Majaitas. I can never pronounce that. It's the beach getaway where you go to Yalepa. It's a small town, and then you go to the beach. And you can go there by catamaran or you can go there by pirate ship. The pirate ship is actually not through Vallarta Adventures, it's through a different company. This is some footage of when we did the pirate ship last year. The kids loved it. The adults loved it too. We really enjoyed it. It was a fantastic day. They put on a really cool show as you're making your way down to the beach. The pirate ship was something unique and it was really different and it was a lot of fun. The other thing you can do is do that same tour basically through Vallarta Adventures, but you just go on a regular boat. It's like a catamaran and you do the same thing. And that's also fun. They're playing music, they're having a good time going and coming, and then you get 3-4 hours at the beach. The other excursion, there's actually two other excursions, and one that I always recommend that you actually don't do on your own. And then the other one, which we've also done, is called Las Caletas. Las Caletas is another beach getaway. It's a little bit further down, a little bit longer boat ride, but I think the facilities at Las Caletas are great. I'll share some footage here with our recent trip. We did this about 2 years ago. It was right in the beginning of when Puerto Vallarta kind of reopened during the pandemic. We had taken a land vacation down there and we wanted to go to Las Caletas and just try something different because we had always heard about it. Now, if you have a young child, like at the time when we went, our boys were, I think, 6 and 4. It wasn't the ideal age for them to go because a lot of the activities available for kids required you to be a little bit taller, a little bit older. Like they had zip lining for kids, they had like an obstacle course, they had some water slides, but we were just under the height limit for a lot of those activities. So if you have a child that's like 8, 9, 10, 12 years old, this is a great tour, and I would recommend that you do this tour over the other beach getaway tours because there's so many activities for the kids to do in the at the facilities there on the beach. And then the last tour is the Rhythms of the Night tour, and that is also a spectacular tour. That is the one tour that I would suggest that you do through the cruise line and only through the cruise line, because you will be one of the last arriving passengers to get back on the cruise ship. And depending on when you do it, because your cruise ship may be leaving by 8 or 9 p.m., you may not get the full effect of like the show at night. It is called Rhythms of the Night, and it is a cool show, especially at night. So you'll just have to decide if it makes sense for you to do that. But it is a very cool tour. We did that a few years ago. We really enjoyed it. We didn't do it on a cruise ship. We just did it on our own on another vacation when we were in Vallarta. I would just encourage you to do that only through the cruise line, because you will get back within a half hour or so of the cruise ship leaving, and it just leaves you no time to spare if anything goes wrong. The two other excursions that are very popular are the zip lining and the dolphin encounter. Personally, my preference would be to do the dolphin encounter at Cabo if you're going to Cabo on this cruise. I think it's actually through the same company, Vallarta Adventures or Cabo Adventures, but I always hear great things about the Cabo dolphin swim or dolphin encounter. And then the other item is zip lining. I haven't personally done zip lining in Puerto Vallarta. I've done zip lining at other ports, other locations. But I can only imagine, and I've always heard great things about zip lining in Puerto Vallarta because Puerto Vallarta has a really extensive like jungle. You'd have a really cool experience going through the jungle there if you were zip lining. And if you don't want to do it through the cruise line, just again, go to Vallarta Adventures website. I'm not being sponsored by them by any means, but they are one of the biggest tour and excursion providers in Mexico, and they're just a good, reputable company to deal with. So in general, if you're going to Puerto Vallarta, you can get off the boat and you can just stay within walking distance of the ship. That's fine. But look, if you spent the money to go on a cruise, I'd always encourage you to spend a little bit more. Get out to the beach, go downtown to the Malecón, the boardwalk, and just walk around and really appreciate all that Puerto Vallarta has to offer. Puerto Vallarta is a very safe place. I can't tell you how many times I've been there and we've never had any issues. Don't do anything you wouldn't do back home and you'll be fine and you'll have a great time. And if you have any questions, leave a comment below. I always love to interact with some of those Facebook groups. Leave me a comment. If you have a question, let me know and I'll get back to you with that question. So I hope you're having a fantastic time. Enjoy your cruise. Have a fantastic time. I always tell people, when you take your first cruise, go on there with zero expectations. Just go in there with a willingness and an open mind to do as much as you want to do. Get involved if you want to get involved, and I think you'll have a fantastic time. So hope this video finds you well, and we'll talk to you soon.